Hey everybody, Big Toad here and welcome to my studio. And this video, this is volume 3 of my series on oil painting that Idaho Butte with the rolling hills. Today we're going to focus our attention on the mountain. I want to soften that mountain up, give it some good brush strokes, give it some vitality, and kind of set it up. This won't be the last time I touch the mountain. I just want to get it a little closer to what I want before I drop down and start doing the midground and moving to the foreground. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm going to try to achieve in this video. So at the end of this video, I'm trying to get some nice big brush strokes. I'm taking and dropping the value down a little bit. I want it to be a little lighter. It's really, the brush strokes are really catching the light. But you can see some faint highlights in there of some Naples yellow and yellow ochre to try to break up that mountain a little bit. And I will do some more work on that as the painting progresses. I just wanted to get it into a state where I could kind of springboard off of that into the foreground. So the colors I'm going to be using in this session on this mountain, obviously titanium white, Naples yellow. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre. Also going to bring in cobalt blue and a little ultramarine blue and some alizarin crimson. This mixture I've got now is alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue with a little bit of cobalt blue in it, and then some Naples yellow to bring the chroma down, and also some titanium white to bring it down in its value. Make it a little more dull, taking out the chroma, and a little lighter. So you're already getting that effect there on the mountain, you see. So right now in its current state where I started, it's just one big flat nothing. It's a flat silhouette of a mountain, very rudimentary. Some of that dark color is going to show through in places. I'm not concerned about covering it completely because it adds some dark shadows within the brush strokes, but my main goal is to create texture and contour. I use a lot of titanium white again in this painting, and do a lot of mixing of colors. I'm trying to get that gray down. It's got a little bit of that alizarin crimson in there in order to give it just a slight purplish hue. I'm going to use some more alizarin crimson later in the mountains when I start working on the midground. So just like the palette knife strokes, I want to keep these brush strokes going in various different directions, different lengths, swirls and such, in order to create some nice texture. The brush strokes, especially on a large painting like this, are very, very important in order to not make you don't want your painting to feel so uniform and all strokes go the same. You're not painting a wall here, you're painting a painting of a mountain, and the brush strokes going in various directions help create that illusion of contour and the wildness of the mountainous structure itself. As I've said in previous videos, I spent about 3 weeks or more doing research for this painting, and I spent a lot of that time, of course, I made a couple trips into the mountains to take some photos and videos. I spent a lot of time reviewing the videos and looking at the photos, trying to find some inspiration for this painting. I knew right away that I wanted to do the silhouette of this butte in the painting, as it's a very prominent site in my local area. So part of my work in preparation was to develop out 4 sketches, which I showed to the client and had her look through them, look at the sketch that gave the primary, that met her primary goal, as well as looking at the details of all 4 sketches and seeing if there's pieces and parts of them she wanted to pull into a final. So that's what we did. So let's take a look at those sketches. Sketch 1 is the sketch up on the top, and it's really the one that was selected as the primary inspiration for the painting. I drew the butte back there in very rough format. I was not trying to duplicate that. It wasn't important for the sketch. but I have the road, I have the fence line following both sides of the road, and I love fences, I love roads. They just really pull the eye through your paintings really well. And also what I wanted to do, and I mentioned this before, is the viewer is going to enter on the right as they move through the house, and to see the whole painting, I wanted to draw them in from the right to the left. And so the fence line is going to do that, and the fence line in the road, and then they're going to be drawn through the rest of the painting with roads going off in the background. So, so number one is really the basis of it. Now, I'm going to have sagebrush in there as well, and put some rocks in there, which I really didn't show in sketch 1. In sketch 2, you'll see, in addition to some sagebrush like sketch 1, you'll also see some rocks, some big heavy rocks, which are often along the roads in Idaho and throughout the mountains. And you'll see some flowers. She wants flowers and tall grasses along the fence row. So I didn't really draw all those in, but I have the intention of putting those in. So we'll have some tall grass along the fence row and some nice pretty flowers, some sagebrush, and then some trees in various places to just create life and help move the eye around the painting. Let's go ahead and look at sketches 3 and 4. Of course, in sketches 3 and 4, I also use the Butte as the background. I have various configurations of the hills in the foreground, in the midground, and the customer selected kind of in item 4, in sketch 4, see how the hill descends from the right? Well, I'm going to descend the hill from the right down to the road in the final painting, and again put some rocks in and sagebrush, and you can see some distant trees I put in. The decision has to be made, are those going to be like quaking aspens, or some locust trees, or maybe pine trees? And so I'll make that decision based on what the painting needs at the time, whether I need to lean more towards yellows or more towards bluish greens for the distance, or something like that. So I'll make that decision later, but those are the options in the painting. So I went ahead and I sketched that drawing number 1 with some minor changes to it, as I just described, onto my 6 foot by 3 foot panel. Now I begin to use my brush to create the illusions of contour. In the painting, the brush strokes are big. I'm using like a number 10 filbert natural bristle brush, and kind of laying out some the ridge lines that are in the photo. So I'm referencing the photo of the mountain on my tablet, and trying to, with the brush strokes, kind of mimic some of those out there for later reference. And I will use some yellow ochre and also some Naples yellow on some of those to bring out some highlights. And here I'm putting in a little cobalt blue right into the painting, kind of testing that out. I may end up going back and adding that to bring in some nice coolness to the painting. Not that this grayish purple's not cool, but that blue adds an additional layer of coolness into it. Let's speed this up so you can watch me work through this real quick. Using the large filbert brush and holding it both as a pencil and then underhanded as well, depending on where I'm painting it. Again, trying to maintain the upper edge of the silhouette of that mountain very carefully. So I'm a little more careful up at the top. But you can see, based on the brush strokes, how it's reflecting the color, the light differently, which is going to be part, I think, of the beauty of this painting. When I'm done, is depending on what angle you're looking at it, the light's going to get caught differently and change the very subtle contours and enhancements of the mountain itself, and create little ridge lines and stuff. You can see that ridge line there on the left side really well, what that does just by the brush strokes and how I laid that paint in there. And pulling in a little extra titanium white sometimes on these brush strokes to help pop those out a little bit. But I'm really liking the effect that I'm getting here. And even from this angle now, you can begin to see the contour and the shapes I built in with the brush strokes and how the brush strokes catch the light differently. Now let's pick up the camera and get a little closer view. You can see the sky and the beautiful colors in that. You can see the ridges coming down where I added in a little bit of yellow ochre, some Naples yellow into the mountain itself to help produce some highlights. You can see it hints at it there. As I progress through the painting, I may make some adjustments to that, more yellow in some areas than others. I think it works really well in the painting. I may add more to it later. So I think it's coming along great. In my next video, I will be focusing on that mid-ground. Well, thanks for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. And until next time, this is the Big Toad, and I am out.